Okay? And that's with 83 kids. All right? It's 6 minutes down the. What the freaking.
Oh, Jesus, that's a big surprise.
That's a big downgrade from Eric Vogel on Pete Tewksbury.
No, Jesus.
Never mind. Just upgraded. We're good. What's up, buddy?
How y'all doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see y'all.
When did I? Hey, tell about when I called you, bro. What did I call you about?
Oh, you and what I haven't told you, Richie. Wojo actually beat you to the punch.
Screw you, Wojo.
He had called me like I was actually on the phone with Wojo still, and he's like, "Oh my God, you won't believe what happened."
All right, where's the remove button? Can you remove Wojo from this meeting? Dirty crap! No, not Ernie!
What's up, everybody? I'm Richie B from Banter with Richie B.
Hey, this is Ernie Pack. We're Pac-Man Paranormal.
Hi, I'm Eric Vanderlaan from War Party Paranormal.
I'm Jay Lynch from Dark Realm TV.
Hey, this is Joe Kudo from Dark Realm TV.
What's up, strangers? I'm Scary Gary.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? The Squatch Man here.
Hi, this is the Wojo.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Schneider from LEP Productions and the Dark Realm TV Network.
Hey guys, my name is Sarah Sophia from KUWS.
You're watching the Animal Podcast Show.
Yeah, don't forget to tune in to the Animals Podcast. You won't be disappointed.
You are now watching the Animal Podcast Show, so stay tuned.
And you're watching the Animal Podcast Show.
And you're watching the Animal Podcast Show.
And you're watching the Animal Podcast Show.
And you're watching the Animal Podcast Show. So there.
Watching the Animal Podcast.
And you're watching the Animal Paranormal Podcast. Let's go.
Boom.
Expedition Files.
Oh, hey. Welcome to the Animal Expedition Files. Sorry. I'm a lot different today. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm not sure if everybody can hear me right now. Hey, y'all. This is the Animal on Expedition Files. I am usually in my my usual office where I do my shows, but I am actually out in the woods going to be doing Bigfooting right after the show. So we have an amazing show with Rob G, so you don't want to miss out. Completely different setup. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out tonight, be able to watch an amazing show. And wanted to be able to share something with you here. So let's check it out.
Classified CIA files reveal a stunning discovery made by a Project Stargate remote viewer. Tasked with exploring Mars, the viewer described immense pyramids rising from the planet's barren red terrain. Beneath the surface, vast underground cities stretched for miles. In this vision of Mars' distant past, tall and mysterious beings struggled against a devastating environmental collapse, desperately seeking a way to save their world. Read the full story and download the declassified document now at AboveTheNormNews.com.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting there, what's going on there. That classified documentation has been found recently that there's been life on Mars. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff coming to light. But we're going to bring our guest Rob G on here. We're going to be talking about some of that and those stuff that's going on with the drones and just have an amazing time. So let's bring on Rob G here and have some fun. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Nice to be here.
Definitely, man. Yeah, this is definitely a different setup for me. Usually I'm in my studio. I have a microphone stuck in the front of my face. It's just my laptop, and I'm actually out in the woods where there's actually Bigfoot around. So should be a good night. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's what's up. So what is this your first day of a Bigfoot sort of theme, or what are you doing?
No, it's I'm actually visiting family, but they've been having a lot of Bigfoot activities, so we're actually Bigfoot hunting tonight. We've actually had where we've been getting Bigfoot prints happening on their property and tree knocks and a whole bunch of cool stuff here. And who knows, it might be some UFO activity here because there's been some weird stuff going on in the sky. So we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight, be able to check some stuff out. But I've been checking your show. I know you have a show and your own podcast out there, and I love it, especially with Drew Banky. He's a really awesome dude. I had him on my show, and we've had a really great talk about UFOs and a whole bunch of stuff that's going on in this world. But before we go on with that stuff about UFO talk, tell me a little bit about you and your shows and what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Drew Banky, that's my guy. Shout out to Drew Banky.
Yeah.
Real awesome dude, man. Yeah, I have the After Hours show, the After Hours radio show, which I host over at Spaced Out Radio, which we'll be doing tonight, actually, a couple hours after we finish up here. Starts at 8 p.m. Pacific and runs through 11 p.m. Pacific, Saturdays and Sundays. So tonight we have Preston Dennett on the show. I also have, aside from that, my own channel, which is the Social Dig, which is the logo you see right here. And do a lot of awesome stuff over at the Social Dig as well. A lot of deep conversations. Because, when we talk about this phenomena and everything that's related to it, because I feel like Bigfoot, all of the weird things that we look at are definitely part of the same phenomena. You know what I mean? Well, it's always awesome to be able to jump down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts about this whole drone thing? I know, it's been getting more intense ever since, this past November. It seems like it's been getting crazier and crazier. Now they're talking about that video. I don't know if anybody has, before I let you on the show, about the CSI or whatever it was, but classified documentation of pyramids were on Mars. So now all of a sudden this whole phenomena stuff is coming out after all this drone craze and all the stuff that's going on. Now the CIA is saying this stuff now, why now? What is going on? I just wanted to get your take on all that, what's going on right now.
I haven't heard about the CIA and as far as Mars goes, but I've always felt like Mars is potentially somewhere that we came from. Like we transported from there and transplanted ourselves here. There's a lot of reasons why I feel like that, and we could jump down that rabbit hole. But on top of that, the drone situation has just been crazy. And I'm going to be talking more about that because here's what I'm finding, right? It's been going on for over a month, and I'm really finding that a lot of people have already become exhausted with the topic. And it's so strange because you would figure if this has anything to do with extraterrestrials in any way, then the people who push for this to come out should be the last ones be getting exhausted with the subject. So
Yeah.
I'm putting my eye on the prize, and I intend on continuing to look into this until they show us one way or the other that it's all man-made, or that they admit finally that there's extraterrestrials that are visiting us, as we all know they are.
Yeah. No, a lot of theories out there that there's a lost nuke out there. There's, these floating orbs flying around that these drones are trying to construct. There's so many things out there. It could be Amazon trying to figure out their mapping zone on if they're going to be delivery through the air. There's so many of these theological theories that I think it's making everybody crazy out there. You know what I mean? Where people are like, is this world going mad, or is just like a game from the government?
Well, I'll tell you what happens is when you have it. In the part of the problem is everyone looks. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people look to the government for finality and for answers. I call it like a mommy daddy sort of syndrome, where it has to come through the government in order for it to be verified and legit. But the fact that they're not saying anything and they're claiming they don't know what these things are, it just leaves room for a lot of speculation. So that's where, and I've been talking over the last few weeks about this. I did a deep dive on my channel, but I think what we need to do is we need to vet the information that's coming in, because the further and further we get away from day one of this whole event, you're going to have more people putting their own drones up, for instance. So there are going to be regular drones up there. And I think that's kind of where the waters get muddy as far as the disclosure thing goes. But I would say to anyone out there, there's a lot of people doing the right thing, which is I can't remember the podcaster, but there's a gentleman out there that has chartered a boat to go out onto the ocean to try to capture these drones coming in. Great idea. And then along with other boots on the ground sort of regular citizens that we can get involved that are in that area, because if I was there, I'd be doing the same thing too.
Yeah.
But we just need to capture our own data, and we need to make sure that we're not beholding to government for answers when it comes to this, because if we leave it up to them, we already see it's been 80 years since the modern UFO wave started, and they're not going to come around anytime soon.
No.
For various reasons.
Yeah, they're pretty much saying it's recreational. They don't know what's going on, but like you said, like people are starting taking their own hands and starting to fly their own drones and stuff. I think it's gonna get to the point now that people are flying their own drones, the FAA is gonna get mad, and it's just gonna be a whole drone craze where drones are gonna be illegal. Be able to fly them and film, because I know, like myself, like I like to fly my drone for filming wise, to be able to get those cool shots up above and stuff like that. And I think it's going to get to the point where they're going to be like, oh, sorry, you can't, you can't do that. You're going to get fined, or they'll shut your drone down, because they have the capability where they could actually shut your drone down with radio frequencies. And they've actually already proved that, because they're already doing it to people in New Jersey already. So it's just crazy that all this stuff's happening, and it's like I don't know, man. It's driving me nuts. That's why I've been so interested in, like, why now? Like, why is this stuff getting crazy now? And like, who knows what's gonna happen 5 days from now, a week from now, a year from now? Like, will there be a billion drones after this, or will there be some mothership like coming from outer space? I don't know. But it's just really it's cool and mysterious in a way, how this whole drone craze is happening, and the UFOs and stuff like that.
Well, no, you're right, and it's a beautiful time to be alive too.
Yeah,
humanity has been around for so many years, and there are only certain moments within humanity's trajectory or their path where you have moments like this that are so paradigm shifting and so game changing when it comes to the future of humanity. We're just lucky enough to be alive in a moment where a lot of these things may end up being realized, and that goes not just UFOs, because I believe that the government knows about the other things that go on too, as far as the cryptids that are out there. I just have a feeling that they also know about those. Now, I've talked to too many people who I feel are being really genuine with their stories when they talk about encounters. And the government has to know about those as well. So I think they're afraid of, if they let a crack in the dam, then it's going to burst open at some point. Then they have to come out and say, yeah, we knew about all these things. And we've been allowing you to go into the forest without notifying you that the reality of these things being there are there. And I think that's another issue, kind of why in this moment they have an opportunity to come clean and maybe regain some trust back from the people, because this is a moment where they're either going to say, okay, we care enough about our citizens and humanity to bring this out, or they're going to do exactly what it seems like they're going to do, which is to sit on it for another 80 years.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see what happens with this, because it's only going to get better. Like you said, it's good to be alive right now, and who knows? Maybe Bigfoot will come out and he's going to be holding a Mocha Troll in his hand and be flying these damn things. We don't know. But yeah, man, it's a good thing though. But no, I'm really excited to have you on as a guest on my show. And tell me a little bit else, of your experience. Have you had any experiences like with UFOs or Bigfoot or anything paranormal wise?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Actually, I have, and I'll kind of go into how this all started.
Yeah.
I've been hosting shows for the last couple of years here. Well, let's say about a little over 2 years. And just so happens that I'd never had an experience until about 2 years ago. But then when I had my first experience, it opened the floodgates for so many other experiences, which is going to blow your mind. And I'm a guy that's big on receipts. I feel like if you're in a position to get receipts for a particular sighting, I feel like it's your duty to almost do so, in order to help the others, because there's so many people who have never had an experience in their life, and they know that things are out there, and they would die to have an experience, right? So it's up to you. If I know you and I know you haven't had one, but I have, it's my duty to show you what I have. At least that's the very least I could do. But how it started was I was co-hosting on the show, and we were interviewing a guy who claims to be a reptilian channeler. Okay,
wow.
Yeah, so he's giving this whole speech about for whatever reason, he was saying that the entity that he contacts, you can only contact that entity through him. And I feel a certain way about people who put themselves as gatekeepers to information. I'm a guy that once I smell that, I feel like something's going on. But he said to me in this interview, I guess he was feeling that I really wasn't connecting with his story. So he asked me, he said, would you be open to meeting one of these things? And I said, yeah, definitely. Anytime, any day, let's do it. So I swear, within 6 days of that interview, I had a sighting right at my house in the backyard, 12 in the afternoon, clear blue skies, middle of the summer. And my girl calls me outside and she says, you should come outside. And I'm like, I was like, for what? What is it? She was like, you should just come outside. So I come outside and I look. She points to the sky, and it's almost like if you could think of a swarm of mosquitoes, it's like a cluster of objects that are doing this. They're flying and doing all this. First, for me, I'm like, oh, those are birds. She's like, no. She was like, because I've been watching them, and the sun has been shining off of them. They're like metallic. So I stayed there for another minute, and I looked, and then I could see exactly what she was talking about. So I'm like, oh. So I go grab my phone, I run in the house, grab the phone that I'm using, bring it out, and actually, um, I go to videotape these things. As I put my camera in the sky, they're starting to fly now towards where we're at in a formation, like a V
Wow.
formation, like birds would do.
Yeah.
But directly overhead, I could see these things with my eyes, and they were little balls, little white balls with these little black pipe-like objects sticking out from the bottom of each of them. And there were 47 of them in the sky at once. So I go from no sightings all my life to talking to a reptilian channeler. He asked me if I'm open to meeting the extraterrestrial he contacts. I say yes. Within 6 days, I have a sighting of 47 UFOs. I never connect the two together because I just don't think that they're related, but it's a crazy
Yeah.
coincidence. Okay, so we have that. Then we move from that into I filmed a shadow person in my house. I have an image of a shadow person that this happened maybe 6 to 8 months after the UFO sighting. I'm coming from out of town, and it's about midnight when we get here. My daughter is here at the house. She's a
Yeah.
teenager. She's doing these TikTok dances in the hallway. She mounts her phone on her door, and she's doing these dances, right? So I guess she's on the phone with her friends as she's doing this on FaceTime. The phone's on the mount, so she tells them, I'm about to go to the restroom. She goes to the restroom. By the time she comes out, her friends tell her somebody's in your house or something's in your house. And then they send her the picture of this shadow person, full figure, no, no, you know, no thinking about what this is. It is the physical shape of a person in the living room. And so we had that. Not too long after that, we had these footsteps walking across the roof, like 3 in the morning, like boot steps, like boom, 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 walking across the roof. And so one day at dinner, I go and ask her. I don't ask her specifically. I ask the family over dinner. I'm like, hey, have you guys been hearing any weird things late at night? I didn't say what it was. I was like, I've been hearing these footsteps literally walking across the roof at 3 in the morning. And my girl,
Yeah.
she's like, no. My son, he's like, no. But my daughter, the one who caught the shadow person, she's like, yes, I've been hearing that as well. So I'm like, oh my God, okay. And so now we feel like there's something weird going on here. Going from there, what the next thing that happened was within a few months, we had this lady stop at our house in the middle of the day, maybe 2 in the afternoon, for like 4 houses off the corner. She comes and knocks on our door and asks us if she could come in and then if she could take a shower. It felt like a
Wow.
Black Eyed Kid sort of situation, right? We don't know her, so I'm telling her, no, we can't do that. And so she leaves. And I talked to my girl and I'm like, you know what? That's really weird that somebody would do that. And we're 4
Huh.
houses off the corner. So I'm wondering, did she come from the neighbor to here? And then did she go to our other neighbor afterwards? So we pull up the Ring cameras. We have them
Yeah.
pointing from the driveway, down the walkway, and anything triggers these cameras. Cars driving down the street trigger the camera. We look at the camera footage, and she did not trigger the camera coming up to the house or leaving the house. Okay, so that's weird thing. And these are back to back to back happening that happened here. The next thing that happened is my girl. She has her work desk set up right next to the front door, and I'm in the studio, and she hears knocking like 2, 3 in the afternoon, middle of the day. So she's at the front, so she can check the front door. There's nobody there, And then she goes and she checks the back door, which there's nobody there as well. And so she calls me and she's like, "Are you knocking on anything?" I'm like, "No." So we go, she plays back the footage. And then when the knocking happened, the dogs start barking. And so it was a phantom knock. It didn't come from anywhere. We don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing that happened was I was in the studio doing a live show. And she is texting me and calling me like throughout the show. And then she finally walks in and during a break. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "Check this out." She shows me her phone and the Ring camera. We have a side house, a full side house. In the side house where no one is staying at the time, the camera was triggered like 6 different times. And when we watched it back, there were these little orbs floating around the room. Like they looked like they were alive. And so, yeah, so I went from having no experiences with the phenomena at all to having all these compelling back to back, like, and then I have the receipts for them all. I've shown them on my show, and it's just mind blowing to know that the paranormal is a real thing. Like these are things that open my eyes up to know that all this stuff is real.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering, like, because I know you were saying you saw shadows and stuff like that. I've heard some stories where people had extraterrestrial experiences, but it ended up being they see shadows following them in the house, but end up being something extraterrestrial. Do you think maybe it could have been something that was cloaking itself or hiding, or it could have been a coincidence? It could have been a ghost. I've always wondered about that. Like these things, these shadows that we're seeing after we see this UFO stuff. Could it be the same thing or different?
I'm so glad you asked me that because when all this happened, and I would show this stuff on my show right after it happened, the moment it happened. Now, my whole theory up until originally was that okay, I'm experiencing the UFOs, which are obviously alien, and then the all the other things I was relating to paranormal. I'm like, is this am I experiencing ghost activity? Like, what is this? And it didn't make sense to me that one person would be experiencing all these different parts of the phenomena. So what I did was I sat back, I heard a guy talk on a podcast, and he talked about how his wife, he was in a house with his wife, and they were experiencing footsteps on the roof as well. But he was relating the footsteps to his abduction experiences. So he was feeling like the footsteps were related to actual, maybe extraterrestrials being on the roof. When I heard that, I was like, whoa, okay, that makes sense. And it makes more sense for the things that I experienced to be related to the original thing, which is the UFO sighting. And maybe they came back and maybe that's what they were doing. They were on the roof in the middle of the night trying to get in. And that's when it got really scary for me because I started saying, okay, it's more likely that instead of experiencing all these random different things that may be unrelated, it's more likely that they are all related. And that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. So it's crazy that you brought that up.
Yeah, I just had a guest on. I can't remember their name, but he said he's been abducted like I think 7 or 8 times, and also he said his recent ones before he got abducted again, he saw shadows in his house, and after he saw the shadows, he had some kind of dream or something like he's getting picked up, and then he got abducted. And it's just pretty interesting because he said he was on a table and they were trying to talk to him, and that's when they installed like something in his shoulder. And after like I guess he got hurt or something like that, and they had to get surgery. They found that thing that was inserted into his shoulder, and they said it wasn't man-made. It was something that wasn't of this world. So I think it's pretty interesting that that we persist to thinking that is it actually ghosts when it could probably be extraterrestrial, but they could cloak themselves in a way where we think it's paranormal. And that's why they probably trick us to like probably take us wherever they want or whatever they want to do with us.
It makes way more sense. It really does. And I interviewed a paranormal researcher, and when I told them about the lady coming to the door and then the shadow person, I showed her the photo. She said, "You know what? This feels more extraterrestrial." She was like, "It doesn't really feel like something is paranormal." And I'm like, "Wow, okay, that's good information," because that just goes further into it. And the last thing that happened to me, which was the craziest thing, was I was in bed, and sometimes I'll sleep with my leg hanging off the bed. And this particular night, I felt something like grab or touch my leg. And we have a bed that's probably 4 feet off the ground, one of those tall beds. So, you know, I'm sitting there in bed, my girl's next to me asleep, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay up because that felt really physical, whatever just happened right there. So I'm sitting there and I'm staying up, I'm looking at the TV, and I don't know if you've ever been awake, but you've been tired, so you kind of drift in and out of sleep.
Yeah.
But this is what was happening, and when I would drift into this sleep, as far as like my presence, I still felt like I'm sitting here watching TV. So it's like the sleep was happening while I was still awake. And when I would drift over to this side, I swear that's when I would feel the touching again. And I couldn't tell where my reality lied, if I was actually awake, if I was asleep, but it's just another weird thing. All those things happened in this very house that I'm in right now.
Wow. No, no. One thing I wanted to talk to you about. I just had a good conversation with a good friend of mine where he was telling me that he'd been in an experience where he was driving down a road and he bumped into this like old cafe where he swore that he went in there, he was talking to somebody, he actually had food and stuff, had this whole experience. Then he left and he like said, you know, that felt weird. Turned around and it was gone. Like he was in another realm. I'm like wondering if something like that could happen. Like, cause I think I've had instances of that happening where I think I'm in a totally different reality and it felt so real. And then you go around, you're like, what the hell? You're like, you turn around, like, what the hell is it? You know, have you had any experiences with that or people that you know of that has?
You know, that's just like you know, when you have those dreams that are so real. And I've had those myself too throughout my life. And those I feel like you are physically, well, maybe not physically, but your consciousness at the very least is going to those places. Is what it feels like. You know what I mean? So I think I think there is definitely a lot that is gonna blow our mind as we figure more of the stuff out. And that's why having these shows, having these talks, we're able to talk through it. If somebody may be listening, they can resonate with that, like, wow, yeah, I felt that same thing, or I had those sequences to me too. So it's good that we do this. Also, the paranormal. I used to look at the paranormal. I used to watch ghost shows 10 years ago and be like, really? Maybe? I don't know. You know, I wasn't really bought in on it. But now I'm just like, wow. Every time something happens, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, there's so many different crazy things out there that we can't explain. You know, UFOs, paranormals, cryptids. Just like Bigfoot. Bigfoot's a big mysterious thing out there right now that is getting bigger and bigger, I feel, just like the extraterrestrial. And some people are feeling that Bigfoot is connected with it. And some people feel that, you know, Bigfoot could be paranormal or it could be an interdimensional being. I don't know. it's pretty interesting, and that's why we do what we do, because it's a passion, and we're kind of like scientists if you think about it. We're trying to figure out, like, is this real or is this not real?
And I want to ask you, since you brought that up, because I like to know whenever I talk to someone in a particular area of the phenomenon, like, what is your goal in this? Like, what do you hope to achieve by the end of all this?
My goal is that people could come together and to be like, wow, that so, that they could come and think about something that they never thought they would ever think about, and question it and be like, what, could this happen? And then they have their own experience and they'll be able to tell their stories, and then other people, it's kind of like sharing, like, your grandchildren's going to share with their grandchildren, and their, and so on, so on. And that's what I'm hoping for, like, these shows, that people could come together and be able to experience that and be able to share their stories, and other people could listen and be like, just wow, that was an amazing story.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely, a lot of record keeping, a lot of data that is goes into these shows. And the way I feel about it is, even if this is a niche sort of subject or topic or field, I just feel like that there will be a time where the people who aren't focused on this topic, they're going to come around, and then they're going to jump into your archives and my archives and everyone else's archives to kind of bring themselves up to speed on this subject and what reality really is. Because there's so many people that are just so locked into life that they don't ever take a step back to look at and think about what is possible outside of their reality, right?
Yeah. And we get so busy into that, like, with work and money, just things outside of family. It's like, we don't realize there's so much stuff happening around us that our minds are like, what the hell, and it's like having ADD. It's like a girl, that's how our minds work. And it's fascinating how, like, some door can move from some, like, a ghost or something, and you can be totally, like, dumbfounded, like, not even know that it's happening behind you, because something else is, like, too busy in your mind. That's why I think a lot of times I always tell people, like, just relax, breathe, and just see what's around you. Just close your eyes and just feel the energy around you, and trust me, you'll have the most amazing experience ever of just life, peacefulness, and just things happening, and you're gonna be blown away by it.
You are absolutely correct with that. And you know, that's why I feel like, we had an example of exactly what we're talking about right recently with this drone situation, because I don't think
Yeah.
but there was, in this moment, because I used to always think about, the last time humanity as a whole had a moment to breathe and look around was during the whole plague that we had a few years back. That was a moment where the world got to sit back at one time, not going to work, being able to work from home, and kind of being able to look at things around them and see them for what they really were. And
Yeah.
I thought about it because I didn't get into the field until after that was over. But, I was like, man, that was a great opportunity if we were going to have the focus shifted to kind of present that during that time.
Yeah.
And I used to think to myself, like, when would there be another moment where we will get that chance where the whole world is focused at one time, and then we get it with the drone situation. People who never ever considered UFOs and probably still think they're regular drones. They were scared, they were focused, they were asking questions, And that to me was an amazing thing to see. And that will happen again. That will, even whether it's through the fact that these things are still up there and the drone, that situation hasn't gone away, or if some new situation comes up that gets the attention of everyone like this did, I think we can maybe see this thing through and get to
Yeah.
the explosion.
Well, if you think about it, like, excuse me, COVID and podcasting, like, I'm not saying this is a blessing in disguise with COVID, but like before COVID, podcasting, not a lot of people listen to podcasts. I mean, you have some people that, but like when people couldn't do anything, podcasting exploded after COVID, like crazy, because so many people before COVID was so like hunger of money and all this stuff going on, and then all of a sudden our world paused and podcasting exploded. All this other stuff started happening, and then people started like sitting down and listening for once, like, oh my gosh, what, let me listen to the story. And now people are hearing about the whole UFO thing, because before, if we've never had this COVID, honestly, I think honestly this whole drone craze, people would have been like, drones, who cares, you know? But now that podcast shows are out and they're like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, people are listening more and paying attention and seeing what's in here, and be like, wow, this is really like life-changing, you know, explanation. It's like, holy crap, like, you know, and people can learn more, and just freaking like so many possibilities.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, society, the way it's designed, and I can go to a whole diatribe about this, but in short, the way society is set up, it's set up to keep you preoccupied forever. Like until the day you're ready to leave this earth, society is designed to keep you engaged and involved in something that is and not focus on the other things which you should be focusing on. One thing I always say is when you look around this planet, it definitely seems like humans are the only species on this planet that don't really have that direct connection with nature.
Yeah.
And it's because of society and the technological advancements that we made. We're going like so far away from our natural selves and what humans mean to nature that it's alarming to me. And it's a reason why hopefully moments like these and during COVID would be the moments where people could say, hey, you know what? This is ridiculous what we're doing. Society is actually ridiculous. Like we should be doing things that bring us back more to nature. And kind of what you're doing by going out there into the woods. People don't even do that. People don't even take a moment to go into nature and just connect with nature. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's what I'm doing later, going bigfooting, man. That's what it's all about, being in the woods. I'd rather actually be in the woods than honestly sitting on the couch and just, you know, I went exploring today, got to see some cool, crazy stuff, and I was telling my friend, I was like, man, I want my kids to be able to experience this, but kids are so tied up with their phones and stuff like that, and there's so much to learn and stuff like that, and that's why I always tell everybody who's listening to the show, like if you're a parent or whatever, just like, man, show those kids and stuff like that what's out there, because life is short. And being out there is so much fun. It's such a journey.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. And that was the whole thing with some of the dilemmas that we face just as a species that hopefully keeps surviving for years to come. Is that you depend on the newer generation. You depend on the kids because those are the future leaders and rulers of this planet. And you want them to be in the right mindset, you know, stepping into those roles. And you know, when kids don't go outside anymore, that's a red flag. That's a disconnect with nature. That means they don't care about nature. They don't care about that connection.
No.
And you know, the way that I even find myself consumed with flipping through apps and scrolling and making sure I'm updated on this or that. They have it. They're good. They're great at it, and they don't have a problem with being engaged with their phones or smart devices 100% of the time, and that's just worrying to me for the future and how we go ahead. And one thing that a lot of people, and I bring this up a lot too, is that when people in the past historically have had encounters with extraterrestrials, and they say they speak to them telepathically, they've been told in with some of these messages that technology is bad. And then you think about it, and I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, what can that mean? Because in a lot of ways, technology makes things easier for us, and technically, it's supposed to make quality of life better. But then I looked at it, and I'm like, but it actually is just making us less self-reliable on like yourself, like going into the woods. How many human beings could go and survive 7 days in the woods right now?
Not a lot.
Barely any. And
Yeah.
so it gets to a point to where a kid probably wouldn't survive a day in the wood or 6 hours in the woods, let alone a few days. Like, you know what I mean? It's like going that way, whereas we have to find a way. And I think disclosure really is truthfully the only way. It's the only way I can think of, unless we have some nuclear war or an asteroid impacts this planet, something that shakes everything up so much to where you have to get back to basics. It's like the only thing I could think of that can kind of reel everything back in and get us back on the right path.
Yeah, and that's why we do this, what we do, to hope people could get educated from what we're doing, and that's why we do this. We're not doing this to be famous. We're not doing this for money. We're doing this because we care and we love what we get to do and be able to research, that in case if we ever get abducted one day, who knows? It might be interesting to be abducted. I ain't gonna lie, or it might be totally like scary. I don't know, but or be abducted by Bigfoot. I mean, that would be cool. Be able to get taken off by Bigfoot. I mean, I'd be in heaven, to be honest. But that's just me. But it's like it's a cool learning experience. Like even when I do these shows and I be able to interview people like you and Drew Banky and just a whole bunch of people, like I learned so much from other people just by just their stories and what they got to experience and live through. Because when you get to live through that through their eyes, that's an experience in of itself, and it's like you're right there with them experiencing it at the same time.
That is true. That I couldn't have said it better myself, and you're absolutely right in everything that you just said. And it's like I always say, it's like steel sharpening steel. Like when it comes down to the answers or finding the answers, I'm a guy that always says that I think the common sense that we were born with and given is what we need to use to figure this out. And so you've gone through experiences that I haven't. Drew Banky has gone through experiences that I haven't.
I think I lost you. Yeah, I can't hear you. Sorry, everybody. Just lost transmission here a little bit.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me back?
Oh yeah, now I hear
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay,
That's
great.
weird. I think it's the
It's my
UFOs that heard
setup.
something.
It's my setup is messing up. But yeah, I was just saying, no, it's a great thing. Everything that you said there, because we, all the data that we all have individually, once you put those pieces together and you see the bigger picture, it's like, whoa. And the biggest thing about that is that's what the government knows that. And I always have to preface when I bring up the government by saying I am not anti-government in any way, shape, or form. And I just want people to know that, because I think it's a slippery slope whenever you start talking about things that gets humanity together. It could be looked at by government as something that's anti-government, and that's how they'll position it. But I would say I'm not anti-government. I am pro-humanity, right? So as long as you're doing right by humanity, I'm okay with you in my book, right? And that goes for the government as well. As long as you are doing right by humanity, you're putting humanity in the best position to succeed and progress, then I'm okay with it. But if you're not, and you're doing the obvious thing to suppress humanity, then I look at that as a crime against humanity. And I think that's why I'm so glad to see people like yourself, like myself, and others that get out there and just talk about this. Because, like you said, there really isn't any money. We don't do this for money or fame. We do this to move that needle and to get this across the line. That's why we do this.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. It's an amazing experience, and I'm gonna still keep doing it until as much as I can and be able to help people as much as I can. But I know we're cutting in a little short. The one thing I want to ask before we do go is what has been your most like crazy moments in all these experiences, and what have you learned from it?
Truthfully, the craziest moment had to be they're all equal, man. I mean, because the reason why I say that is because every time it's exposing something that I once thought wasn't real, or something that I once thought wasn't possible. And so every single time something happens, it just blows my mind the same way or even more. And there's still more to come, I'm sure. I still haven't met Bigfoot yet, right? Dave Scott, who runs Spaced Out Radio, he goes out in the woods and looks for Bigfoot. And I always say, I'll go with you, but I'll be the guy standing in the back with the camera so I can be the one to come back and tell the story. But I still want to have those experiences too. I want to be able to say I experienced that part of the phenomenon as well.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Rob.
Anytime.
Dude, this has been such an amazing experience talking to you. And where can people find you? Where people could be able to listen to your shows at night?
Yes, tonight and tomorrow night. So Saturdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. You can find me over at youtube.com/@spacedoutradio. And then all the other times you can find me at youtube.com/@MrRobG, just like it shows right here on the screen right here. Appreciate it, man. It was a pleasure talking to you as well. We got to do it again.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, we're definitely gonna I want to have you both and Drew on together so we can both have a crazy big conversation. Usually I have music playing in the background when I'm in my studio, but again, thank you so much for having on, and thank you for all my guests and all the listeners for watching the Animal Expedition Files, and you guys have a wonderful night, and have a great night, and don't get hit by a drone.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, brother. Take care.
Later.
Lights on. Dark Realm TV. Coming soon.